Imagine walking into a room and being evaluated before you've even said a word. Not by your resume, your style, or your wit, but by the way you carry yourself, by the energy you radiate, the posture you hold, the presence or absence of certainty in your eyes. Now imagine this assessment isn't coming from a stranger. It's coming from someone whose instincts have been sharpened by thousands of years of evolution, someone who doesn't need to analyze your words to know if you're strong or drifting. This is the reality most men don't understand. Women often perceive a man's weakness long before he himself does. And not because they're judgmental, but because nature wired them to recognize strength. Not the kind built in the gym, but the kind forged in the furnace of adversity. Emotional resilience, leadership, presence, and self-mastery. And here's the twist. Weakness isn't about failure. It's about reaction. It's about how you show up when things get hard, when ego is bruised, when validation is withheld. As Stoics, we learn that real strength doesn't come from loudness or dominance. It comes from clarity, from not needing to prove yourself, from being unmoved by praise or insult, from aligning with purpose, not performance. In this guide, we'll unpack 7 signals of weakness that many men unknowingly broadcast, and how Stoic philosophy offers a path to transform them into unshakable strength. Because the goal isn't to impress. The goal is to embody. To lead not with noise, but with presence. Not with charm, but with integrity. Let's begin. 1. You chase validation instead of respect. Nothing repels confidence faster than the scent of desperation. It's one thing to desire connection. It's another to depend on external approval to feel worthy. The difference? The first is natural. The second is weakness. Validation chasing looks like fishing for compliments, changing opinions to match hers, obsessing over replies, likes, or social signals. Psychologists call this an external locus of control, where your sense of self comes from outside, not within. From a Stoic lens, this is spiritual slavery. Epictetus said, "Seek not the good in external things. Seek it within yourself." When your worth rises and falls with others' reactions, you become a leaf in the wind blown around by opinion, praise, silence, or rejection. But when you live by your principles, courage, discipline, honesty, you no longer need validation. You stand rooted. Here's how to shift. Set internal standards. Don't ask, did they approve? Ask, did I act with integrity? Practice detachment. Notice the urge to be praised, then let it pass without acting on it. Speak your truth, even if it risks disapproval. Women and people in general are drawn to those who are calm in the storm of social pressure, those who don't flinch when unseen, because that signals self-trust, the rarest form of strength in an approval-obsessed world. 2. You avoid conflict at the cost of your integrity. There's a lie many men tell themselves. If I'm agreeable, I'll be more likable. But people-pleasing isn't kindness. It's fear in disguise. When you avoid conflict by suppressing your needs, you don't become respected, you become forgettable. Worse, you become someone others don't take seriously. This shows up agreeing with opinions you secretly oppose, apologizing excessively to smooth tension, backing down the moment you're challenged. This is what psychologists call submissive communication, where you trade authenticity for temporary peace. The Stoics teach otherwise. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane." True strength lies in calm assertion, in knowing when to stand firm, not out of ego, but from alignment with principle. Here's how to practice this. Use assertive language. I see your point, but I believe. Or, I respect your view, and I see it differently. Embrace discomfort. Let tension exist. Let silence settle. Don't rush to fix it. Choose your battles. Not every hill is worth dying on, but some are worth defending. A man who avoids conflict out of fear becomes unreliable, but one who chooses his voice wisely and uses it commands respect without shouting. 3. You're controlled by your emotions. Anger, jealousy, anxiety, insecurity. We all feel them. But for some, those emotions are drivers, not passengers. And nothing signals weakness more clearly than a man who reacts before he reflects, who erupts at criticism, who panics in silence, who collapses at the first gust of emotional wind. To women and to the world, this behavior screams, I haven't learned to handle myself. Seneca warned, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Emotional volatility doesn't mean you're bad. It means your inner compass is uncalibrated. Your mind reacts to every storm as if it were the end, because you haven't yet built the anchor of inner calm. Here's the Stoic approach. Awareness before reaction. When anger rises, breathe. Observe. Ask, is this useful? Separate feeling from fact. Your emotions are signals, not commands. Cultivate stillness. Meditation. Nature. Journaling. These are disciplines, not luxuries. Emotional mastery isn't numbness. It's sovereignty. It's saying, I feel this, but I am not ruled by it. And that kind of steadiness? That's the definition of magnetism. 4. You speak more than you deliver. A lion doesn't need to announce he's a lion. His presence says enough. And yet, many men talk endlessly about what they'll do without ever doing it. They list goals. They brag about plans. They promise. But they don't execute. This isn't confidence. It's compensation. Psychologists call it impression management, trying to shape perception instead of embodying truth. The Stoic doesn't perform. He produces. Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Words without action are noise. And women, especially attuned to integrity, can feel the gap. Signs of this weakness. Talking more about your future than building it. Exaggerating achievements. Making promises you can't or won't keep. Want to flip the script? Speak less. Let results whisper what words scream. Document action. Write one task per day. Complete it. Deliver quietly. Let presence precede narrative. In a world of talkers, be a man of momentum. Because movement, even slow, silent, steady, creates a gravitational pull far stronger than any boast. 5. You blame instead of take ownership. Victimhood may earn sympathy, but it never earns respect. When you point fingers at your boss, your ex, the world for your pain, you're telling everyone, I don't own my life. It may feel justified, but to others, it reads as avoidance, as fragility, as helplessness. The Stoics knew better. Epictetus taught, don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it does. Then you'll be happy. Blame is weakness. Ownership is power. Here's how blame shows up. Complaining about circumstances, but never acting. Shifting fault in arguments instead of reflecting. Viewing failure as betrayal instead of instruction. The Stoic approach? Audit your role. In every failure, ask, what did I allow? What did I avoid? Reclaim control. Even if it's 1% your fault, own that part. It's the only piece you can change. Transform pain into plan. Every struggle becomes a teacher if you let it. Men who own their story, even the messy chapters, radiate strength. Not because they're perfect, but because they refuse to remain passive. 6. You can't say no. A man without boundaries isn't kind. He's collapsing. If you say yes to everything, every favor, every plan, every opinion, you're not being generous. You're being avoidant. And eventually, you vanish. People-pleasing begins as a desire to connect, but it often ends in resentment and exhaustion. Women and anyone emotionally perceptive sense this lack of boundary quickly. At first, they might enjoy the ease, but over time, they feel something deeper. This man doesn't protect his time, his energy, or his values. Seneca reminded us, if a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Boundaries are ports. They direct your life. Here's how lack of no manifests. Overcommitting to events you don't want. Letting others interrupt your goals. Feeling guilty for choosing solitude or focus. Reclaim your strength. Pause before accepting. Say, let me think about that. Give yourself space. Say no clearly, kindly. I appreciate the invite, but I need to rest. Define your time. Block hours for solitude. Protect them like treasure. A man who says no with calm conviction is rare, and in that rarity, he becomes unforgettable. 7. You drift through life without purpose. A man without purpose is a shadow. He might be busy. He might be charming, but his presence lacks depth because his life lacks direction. Purpose isn't fame or fortune. It's intention. It's knowing why you do what you do and letting that clarity shape your time, your choices, and your energy. Without it, a man becomes forgettable. With it, he becomes magnetic. Here's how purposelessness looks. Constant distraction, scrolling, binging. Job hopping with no vision. Choosing pleasure over principle. To the Stoic, purpose is non-negotiable. Marcus Aurelius rose each morning asking, "What is my task today?" Purpose isn't found. It's created through commitment to values and contribution. Build yours. Define your code. What virtues matter to you? Courage? Discipline? Service? Choose a mission. Small or big. Doesn't matter. Just choose. Eliminate what doesn't serve. Your energy is finite. Spend it wisely. When you live with purpose, everything changes. Your posture, your voice, your presence. You stop chasing attention because you carry direction. And in a world of wanderers, direction is divine. Power comes from mastery, not performance. We've covered 7 ways men unintentionally reveal weakness. But let's be clear, none of this is about shame. It's about awareness. Because weakness isn't permanent, it's a signal. A message that something within you seeks strength, clarity, and evolution. Stoicism offers more than philosophy. It offers a path back to yourself. When you stop chasing validation, avoiding conflict, and reacting emotionally, you begin to live from the inside out. You become a man of gravity still, centered, and strong. Women notice it. The world respects it. But most importantly, you respect yourself. So the next time you feel the urge to prove, impress, or please, pause. Ask, is this aligned with who I am, or am I running from silence? And if it's silence you fear, then that's the very space where your strength must grow. Because the most powerful men don't seek approval. They seek mastery. And if this guide helped you move closer to that goal, like and subscribe to Fragments of Stoicism for weekly insights to sharpen your focus, discipline your mind, and ground your life in unshakable strength. Stay calm. Stay clear. Stay stoic.